Hit me.
From Studio P in Sausalito, the home of the hit, it's time for...
Succotash.
Yes, Succotash Clips, the original comedy soundcast featuring snippets from Comedy
Soundcast.
And here's your host, internationally recognized Comedy Soundcast Soundcaster, Marc Hershon. Marc Hershon.
Ho, ho, ho. Yes, it's me, Marc Hershon, host and nerf herder for Epi161 of Succotash, the Comedy Soundcast Soundcast, the Santa's sack of soundcasts, as it is. Except this isn't the Christmas episode. It is December, and at the rate that I turn out episodes, it's probably will be my Christmas episode. It is a full-on Succotash Clips episode, I can guarantee you that, with a couple of extra treats in store as befits the holiday season. First up, got a couple of live dates coming up. This very show has been invited to get on stage at the upcoming 17th Annual San Francisco Sketchfest once again. We will be at Piano Fight in the Tenderloin on Sunday, January 14th at 5:30 p.m. Our announcer, Bill Heywatt, will once again be on hand live for this show, and we will have some special guests. So special, I don't even know who they will be yet. Gotta wait to see who's hanging around from the Sketchfest, then I just kind of scrape them off the pavement and throw them up on stage. Admission is free. That's right, it's free, but space at Piano Fight is a little limited, so you can get your free tickets. You got to get a ticket to get in, but it's free. You can get that at sfsketchfest.com. There's also a link to their link on our home site right now at succotashshow.com. Then a week later, at that same SF Sketchfest, but at a different venue, the historic, magnificent Castro Theater. They're going to be doing a tribute screening of The Foot Fist Way. Have you ever seen it? Starring Danny McBride, directed by Jody Hill. It's great. It's a hilarious, low-budget movie if you haven't seen it. McBride's first starring role. Since he and Hill co-produced it, see, he got the starring role. And both those guys will be on hand and on stage for a live chat, which I am honored to have been asked to moderate. So it'll just be me, Danny McBride, Jody Hill, and an audience full of people asking questions after we get done yakking it up. So get on over to sfsketchfest.com, or again, I've got the link to their link up at succotashshow.com. Also, don't forget I'm working with Phil Larness as the announcer on his less-than-a-year-old Soundcast Los Angeles Breakfast Club on the Air. The December edition is up now, and you can download her from iTunes or from the home site, labreakfastclub.com. But now, on to this show. Here's the deal with it. The clips we're playing were all pretty much harvested by our associate producer, Tyson Sainer, for a show that I was going to do back in October as a crossover episode with the guys from the Monster Party Soundcast, Matt Weinhold, Larry Stroth, Sean Sheridan, and James Gonis. But Matt ended up having back surgery the week I was going to be in L.A. I was going down there for the podcast festival, and we couldn't pull the thing together. So before these clips start going stale and get mold on them, of the digital equivalent, I figured we'd just do a Succotash Clips where we play snippets from Comedy Soundcast that are only horror and sci-fi movie oriented. So the clips we have for you come from the Sci-Fi Movie Podcast, the Cadavercast, Comedy Film Nerds, and the Universal Monster Cast, plus the Star Wars Minute, and I'm going to throw in a clip from Monster Party just to give my pals over there some guilt feelings for not getting to do our show together. In addition, there's a Burst of Durst segment with political comedian and social commentator Will Durst, plus a visit to the Studio P wet bar in a new Boozin' with Bill. And of course, this whole Megillah is brought to you by our friends over at Henderson's Pants. Let's jumpstart with this Burst of Durst, where Will gets into the dicey topic of assault.
Hey guys, Will Durst here with a few choice words on the recent avalanche of sexual assault revelations concerning public figures. And it's about time. Men behaving badly is as old a story as dogs chasing cats, a phrase even more apropos when you consider that most men are horn dogs to begin with. Every single woman you've ever met, including your sister, mother, and grandmother, has been the unhappy recipient of inappropriate touching and crude groping and hugs that go on much too long, and clumsy pawing and cheek kisses that inexplicably involve wetness, and all sorts of leers and ogles and catcalls, and having to constantly worry that the provocative or unprovocative clothing they are wearing might might provoke the unwarranted attention of some deranged carbon unit with a Y chromosome poisoning, convinced that they are God's gift to women, which, to be honest, is many of us. Okay, all. And that categorically includes not grabbing them by the private parts. And the fact that we have a president who bragged about that activity is as helpful as wiring a park bench to a chandelier. That's not locker room banter. That's an oafish toad gloating about his clueless entitlement and disregard for decency. It is way, way past the point that we men get hip real fast to the simple fact that no means no. It does not mean yes, please. It does not mean maybe. It does not mean it's getting hot in here, so take off all my clothes. And it certainly does not mean, you big lug, you're so cute when you're angry, and thank God you know what I want more than I do, and I love it when your face turns that blotchy tomato color. Because trust me, nobody likes that blotchy tomato color. For Succotash, the Comedy Soundcast Soundcast, I'm Will Durst.
Check out more at willdurst.com or find him at Will Durst on Twitter. If you're going to be in the Bay Area between Christmas and New Year's, Will and his cadre of cut-ups will be appearing all over the place in their annual Big Fat Year-End Kiss-Off show. You can find more information at willdurst.com. As I said earlier, the clips from this show are meant to be for a kind of crossover show I was talking about doing with the gang from Monster Party. That's where we're going to have all the guys listen to the shows and sound off about the clips, but sometimes I just dream too big, I guess, and it never happened. But Tyson did do a lot of work. I didn't want these clips to go to waste, so here we are. Here's a clip from the show Responsible, and Monster Party is still one of my favorite shows. Yes, even though these guys stood me up, I'm even reviewing them on splitsider.com this week. You know, you can tell, because even with all the shows I listen to for this show and my splitsider.com show reviews, I actually do subscribe to this one. This is their latest drop. It's from that, featuring a past guest to this show as their guest and my real-life friend Rick Overton. The episode is entitled Future Past and looks at the future as depicted in films from the past. In this clip, the guys are going off about the way Star Trek thinks we may be going.
I'm so grateful Star Trek is back into looking for a fist fight everywhere it goes again. Thank God. They're back into being the ones to pick the fight.
Yeah.
Are they? I haven't seen.
They're ready for it now, man.
Really?
Well,
Okay.
yeah. It reflects reality.
Yeah, I know. I kind of miss the old vibe too, you know.
Oh,
but
yeah,
the
yeah,
action's
totally.
great in the new one. But something
And
about
Doug
what-
Jones, my God.
Doug Jones
he is the shining
is
star of that
stealing
thing.
the
Really?
dang.
Oh, man. I
he's so
gotta
good.
by
see
a
it
mile.
soon.
He is
But-
super duper.
He's
But
the
now-
Mr. Spock of the show.
He is, and he's
Totally.
fabulous. He's so good. But here's the
Can you
question.
do that again? Because you said it with jazz hands.
He's fabulous. You don't have to ask me twice to do jazz hands. But one thing that the new show points out, which is the problem that all these shows following the original Star Trek had, is that Star Trek is a thing of its time. And so now when you're doing shows where, hey, this one's going to be a prequel.
Yeah.
This one's going to be in between the prequel.
Right.
That they were constantly getting into these problems of updating something.
Yeah.
How do you
or-
explain it being
How do you
way
ex-
more advanced now than the one we remember from
Right.
supposed to be the
Right. That
future
was
of you?
always
For
a
example,
problem.
Enterprise, the show Enterprise. You look at Enterprise, and I get the idea that they made it look a little more mechanical.
Yeah.
Everything
They
had
tried, yeah.
Yeah.
It was less smooth surfaces,
Yeah.
and so I get, okay, this is the older Trek, but it still looks way more advanced than Star Trek, the original series.
Right.
With
It's like all of a
Shatner,
sudden they went like, okay, we got all these dials and everything, and you know what we should do? Let's have some big light up buttons everywhere. Let's have a bunch of lights that
You know,
don't really do anything.
I like the lit up buttons.
I love it
I mean,
too.
yellow and red and
I love it too.
and green.
It's just kind
I
of
mean,
silly
You're
that
so
you would,
scientifical.
yeah.
Well, you know, you laugh, Rick. Don't you think it's
snacking.
no? I was just gonna say, don't you think it makes a lot of sense? It's like, oh, the danger button, it's the red button, and it's like to move forward to go, it's the green button.
I
You
love
know,
the
and-
shows in the 50s. Set the controls for outer space.
It's true.
Better hang on to something. We don't have seatbelts.
I also like all the alerts, like the yellow alert. I can't hear myself give orders.
Or
Can
I
we
love,
lower that a little bit?
Well, look. You can understand yellow alert. It's like, oh, mildly, intense, and
so red
dangerous.
alert is a bright red flashing
Yes.
bulb.
Well, and then it gets your attention, Matt.
It does.
says, Matt,
but then
says
turn
this-
it off.
Well, when you get to where that danger is, sure, you can turn it off because you need to
Correct
concentrate.
me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
Isn't there a scene where all of a sudden it goes to red alert and then the whole fucking bridge is red?
Yeah,
Like,
pretty
I
much.
can't see anything. We've already established that he has trouble seeing.
Yes, that's
Shatner.
true. No,
True. Captain Kirk.
Captain
He
Kirk.
wears
Captain
the
Kirk.
granny glasses. That's right.
Yeah, he's got his
They're
glasses.
not granny glasses.
So he-
Well, okay, kinda like bifocals.
They should have given him John Lennon glasses. That would have been a nice touch.
Yeah.
Again, that's Matt Weinhold, Larry Stroth, Sean Sheridan, and James Gonis, along with guest Rick Overton. Monster Party is available in all the usual downloady places, including the Laughable app, iTunes, Stitcher, or, of course, their home site, monsterpartypodcast.libsyn.com. You can also hop over to our home site, succotashshow.com, and click on their show title in our blog or any of the show titles featured in this show. That will take you directly to their home site. We love comedy film nerds with Chris Mancini and Graham Elwood. In fact, I just featured my chat with Chris from the recent Los Angeles Podcast Festival on our most recent episode. And while they don't feature strictly sci-fi, monster, and horror movies on their show, they are pretty heavily into those genres. Back in their episode 384, the guys, along with guest Kevin Avery, get into a low-budget, crazy little movie called Dave Made a Maze, where they get into a little aside about none other than Rick Overton, who you just heard. Man, this show's getting meta.
I saw Dave Made a Maze.
All right.
Now, this movie I was excited to see because it looked absolutely just ridiculous, fun, and absurd, and it was. It was definitely all of those
Nick
things.
Zone, who's been on the show,
Yes.
it's his film.
He builds a cardboard maze in his living room that it's a lot bigger on the inside than the outside. He gets lost in it, and then his girlfriend and a film crew and a bunch of his friends go in to try to save him from the maze. But it just gets bigger and bigger, like it has a life of its own, and there's a cardboard minotaur that chases them, and it's really an insane movie.
I want to see this now. Can we stop?
Yeah. Now, I loved when I was reading the trivia about this that said they initially utilized scrap cardboard for an American apparel factory in L.A. The producer thought they had more than enough for the length of the shoot, but then they ran out 3 weeks later, and the company would not give them any more scrap cardboard.
Damn.
But luckily, they were shooting next to Solar City, and they were willing to have the crew dumpster dive for all the cardboard they needed. And then the cardboard was returned to those same dumpsters for recycling. The production did not pay for any cardboard, and the whole movie is literally a cardboard maze. So, and the other thing that they said is that there was only enough space for 2 rooms of the maze to be built at any one time. So while one was being filmed, the other one was being built. And they said the average lifespan of a room was 4 hours. So literally there was no reshoots because they had to tear down the cardboard sets every single, every time they changed
It's amazing
it.
that you liked it because it's a first, not that it's a first time director. Not that
Right.
means they should be awful in their first outing, but like it's this guy Bill Watterson who's basically just been a TV actor.
Yeah.
But
It was absurd and ridiculous. People died. And it was that, like, when I read the description, I'm like, horror comedy. I'm like, where's the horror in this? This is just kind of weird, absurd. But, if you have a couple people die and from cardboard, then you can slap the word horror on it
I mean,
as
it
well.
does sound like utterly ridiculous, but then potentially terrifying.
Yeah.
To be lost. Think of all the times you've gotten lost somewhere where you didn't expect to get lost, where suddenly you're just, even if it's a parking lot, and you're like freaking out because you can't find your car, or even how to get out of the lot, or,
Yeah.
shit like that always is kind of weird and intriguing.
So it was really inventive and interesting the way they did the different cardboard rooms and parts of the maze and then the creatures that were actually inside it. It still felt like it did have that kind of first-time director feel to it, for sure. It was definitely uneven and rough around the edges, but who cares? I mean, it was that's the kind of movie, you know what you're getting into after you see the trailer.
and I from the trailer too, I was like, well, this isn't just an inventive. I just love an inventive idea. Like,
Right,
he builds
exactly.
this little cardboard thing, and it actually goes into this giant world.
Yes.
I'm like, I'm in. That sounds.
Yeah.
It felt like being John Malkovich, sort of that,
Right.
like.
It has that vibe.
7.5.
It has that
whatever.
vibe to it too. Now, the one thing I love that the filmmaker did not do, like, there's a film crew that goes in to find Dave, they did not do the found footage bullshit thing.
Oh.
I was like,
great.
oh, thank God. They just shot it. There's a film crew following the boat that we don't see every shot from the film crew's perspective.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it was nice to see. My one complaint is that Rick Overton was completely wasted in the movie. Like, he plays a hobo. That they try to help. It was like,
Does he, or was he just sleeping?
Yeah.
Where they were shooting.
Say that. Hey, Rick. We love you.
There's just like, there's this guy in the trash who keeps doing a Sean Connery impression.
And he's the guy getting him the cardboard.
And well, that was it. That was the thing in the movie where it was like, I thought you knew mazes. He goes, no, I know cardboard, because he's a bum that lives
That's a
in the
very
alley.
Rick thing to say.
Yeah, and it's funny, Rick is so talented. He just lit up every scene he was in, but he was only in 2. So he was kind of like, when you have Rick Overton in a movie, use Rick Overton. He could have done a lot more in the film.
Based on hearing that clip, I actually just went up and bought Dave Made a Maze from iTunes. How about that? And I really like Kevin Avery, the guest you heard there with Chris and Graham, originally a San Francisco stand-up. He's now a writer on This Week with John Oliver on HBO. Got to get him up here on our show one of these days. I've actually talked to him about it before, but we've just been... Okay, I let the ball drop. Check out Comedy Film Nerds at their home site, comedyfilmnerds.com, or any other Soundcast distribution point that you like on the web. The next clip is from a very specific genre Soundcast. The show is called the Sci-Fi Movie Podcast, hosted by Remy and Jonathan, a couple of film geeks from Canada. This clip is from a recent episode where they're getting into War for the Planet of the Apes.
Hi, and welcome to the Sci-Fi Movie Podcast, digging deeper into the sci-fi movies that we all love. My name is Rem.
And I'm Jonathan, and this time on the Sci-Fi Movie Podcast, we're discussing War for the Planet of the Apes.
I did not start this war. The ape who did is dead. His name was Koba. I killed him. Now, I fight only to protect apes.
All right, War for the Planet of the Apes, 2017, third in the series, and like you said in the intro, John, not particularly the last one. Now, you and I haven't talked about this. We've sent a few messages back and forth. I don't know what you thought of this movie. You don't know what I thought. So
no, and that's a common theme for me. I frequently don't know what you're thinking, and a lot of times, honest to God, you surprise me with some things.
Surprise you in a good way,
in a good way, always in a good way, not in a oh hey, that's not where that's supposed to go way.
That's very inappropriate.
That is very inappropriate.
Your mind is a dangerous place to be. Yes, so we haven't really talked about what we liked or disliked, and we're going to get started, as we always like to do, with what worked with this third film in this this sort of new installment, which is directed by Matt Reeves. So, Jonathan, what do you think? War for the Planet of the Apes. A lot of hype, big anticipation for the summer blockbuster. What say you?
I say it delivers. It, I think, is the strongest of any Planet of the Apes movie in the whole gamut of the oeuvre, if you will.
Even going back to the Charlton Heston movies.
Back to the Charlton Heston movies. I mean, I really actually love that first Charlton Heston movie, and if you don't know what's going to happen at the end, it's such a good twist. But this set of movies, which is the prequel, and shows the development of how they went from monkeys in zoos to, the forefront species on the planet. The first one I thought was really good. The second one, interesting, but a little less so. But this one is a fantastic conclusion to this opening arc of the Planet of the Apes.
It really takes the trilogy and brings it to a nice sense of conclusion, I think, because, we'd heard that the third film was going to come. And I think we sort of see things in threes now. Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, film series seem to be following on those beats of three now. And if this is the last one, I think this is going to be a fitting end to where this, prequel series of the Apes movies finishes. And then we can see how that was going to progress into what would ultimately become the Charlton Heston, Planet of the Apes series. Yeah, I gotta agree. This, as far as a movie and completing the series, I enjoyed it. Now there are issues with it, and it's not without its faults. But I think if you were to take the totality of the series with with rise and then dawn or rise. I'm still confused by that. If you take the totality and then complete it with War for the Planet of the Apes, I think you've got a really strong trilogy here. And I think, why hasn't Fox done something like this with the Alien movies? Because they've demonstrated they know how to do a trilogy well. They know how to do these movies well. And they're starting to do the things that we've talked about on the podcast that are so necessary for a good movie. Good character development, building up plots you care about, people that you can empathize with. In this case, apes that you can empathize with. Performance capture that we saw from Andy Serkis, phenomenal. Did you find this was an emotional story for you? What was the emotion you were left with after the movie ended?
Well, let me tell you, I went through a number of emotions. When I'm watching this movie, I'm connecting with the apes because they're clearly the quote unquote good guys.
Right.
And humans are the bad guys. And I'm going through the movie going, like, I want the apes to succeed. I think, but wait, I'm a human though. And they're kind of fun, but these humans are dicks. And I'm like, I'm conflicted on how I should be feeling. But in the end, I realize, okay, yes, I have to root for the apes. This is where the movie's leading me to go. And this is where I have to be. And I think that the arc that Caesar has throughout this movie is amazing. And God, can we do spoilers? Are we allowed to do spoilers here?
I think we're going to do spoilers, and maybe we should drop the spoiler warning in. If you haven't seen this movie or the previous two films, know that we are going to spoil the ending.
That's the Sci-Fi Movie Podcast. Well, it's a clip from it. Although at their home site, SciFiMoviePodcast.com, their logo says that they're the Sci-Fi Movie and TV podcast. So you might get some TV talk mixed in along the way with these guys. They've been around for a few years, so you'll no doubt find their show propagated throughout Soundcast land. Next up is a clip from a show that Tyson says is, quote, delightful, called Cadavercast, a father-son monster movie podcast. The hosts are a dad, Jeff Burnham, and his 5-year-old son, Alistair. So one assumes that this show never gets too dark or too explicit. The clip is from their Epi161, where they get into one of my favorite all-time fun movies, The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad.
It's time for Beastly Best.
Okay, what is the moment in the movie that you consider the coolest monster moment, Alistair, in Seventh Voyage of Sinbad?
With the dragon, is fighting the Cyclops.
Yeah? Oh, I thought you were going to say the skeleton, for sure.
Yeah. But the dragon and the Cyclops fight is really cool. Because, it's
I
monster
agree.
against monster.
Double monster.
And one is bigger than the other, and one is original.
So you get to see who would win.
Yeah.
Yeah, monster
the dragon
showdown.
does.
Well, spoilers. But yeah. Obviously, everything's spoilers on this show. But,
yeah.
Yeah,
we do talk about movies.
Yeah, we talk about the whole movie.
If you have seen the movie, it's not spoilers.
Well, that's true, yeah. Well,
we're just talking about what we think about the movies.
Yeah.
I guess if you saw one of these movies, King Kong, basically, maybe all of you have seen.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised, actually. Not as many people nowadays have seen King Kong as you would think. More people have probably seen Kong Skull Island nowadays than King Kong 1933. Sad though that may be for us.
Yeah. Maybe not a lot of people have seen that.
Well, the thing that is good about our show is that maybe we can recommend movies to people that they haven't seen that they could check out. Some classics,
Yeah, some classics. What's your Beastly Best?
Oh, mine is in the first... Well, no, it's not the first. It's after they first find the treasure, and the Cyclops catches them. And the Cyclops throws a bunch of guys, throws Sinbad and 4 of his men in a cage, and then he takes one of those guys out.
Yeah.
And he ties him to a stick and starts roasting him over a fire.
Yeah.
Puts him on a spit. That's my Beastly Best. That is really cool.
If you don't know what a spit is, it's a cooking utensil that you put over a fire that you put chicken on.
Yeah.
But he put a human on it.
I know. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, just starts cooking the guy. He's just sitting there cooking him. Just spinning him around, cooking him. That's my beastly best. I think that's really cool.
They usually use it earlier because they're like eating, and that's when
the big rock shows up. Yeah. Then they cook the baby rock later on a spit. Yeah.
And then the mommy rock comes over and throws two of the guys into a boulder, basically.
Yeah. Well, after the Cyclops tries to roast the guy, then some other drunk dudes show up, and the Cyclops squashes one with a tree. That whole scene is really cool. We didn't talk about it in the earlier parts of the podcast here.
No, we didn't.
Because I think you forgot about it. But that's my favorite stuff in the movie is that stuff with the Cyclops.
I remember the guy squashed the guy when he had the tree. He picked up the tree, tried to squash some other dudes, squashed that guy.
Yeah, squashed him.
Like a grape.
Like a grape. So, with that, I think it's time we move on to Get Spooked. If you actually found any moments in the movie particularly spooky.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah? What was that? What's your spookiest monster moment in Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, then?
My scariest moment was when we see the skull just hanging there. And the guy's
when the guy walks around the corner and the skull's right there in his face?
And he's like freaks out for a second.
Yeah, that guy's got bad luck because he's the guy who ends up getting roasted.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't die. They save him, but he is the guy who gets roasted. Sees the skeleton, gets really scared. Then he gets tied to a spit and roasted by a giant Cyclops.
Yeah.
Bad luck.
That's a taste of Cadavercast, and never has a soundcast sounded more adorable. I love that Alistair. What a great kid. Their home site's actually only up on SoundCloud, but you can find the show on iTunes and other places you might expect to find soundcasts waiting for your ears. And now, just in time for your laggardly Christmas shoppers, here's a message from our sponsor.
Season's greetings, friends, from me, Bill Heywatt, and everyone at Henderson's Pants. Now, although this is supposed to be the happiest time of the year, it's also a time for frayed nerves, temper tantrums, and road rage. And now there's all this brouhaha about what to even call the events around the winter solstice. Well, far be it from Henderson's Pants to ruffle any feathers, so you won't be hearing us uttering the C word anytime soon, which is why Henderson's is introducing their holiday pants just in time for this festive season. Intentionally non-denominational, Henderson's holiday pants are just what the discriminating celebrant is wearing this year. Perfect for office parties, family get-togethers, or late-night shopping sprees, these snappy trousers are designed to honor every persuasion of winter's celebration. How can one pair of pants do all of that, you might ask? Simple, we might answer. Because these holiday pants are made by a special group of Amish craftsmen in a barn covered with hex signs in the middle of Pennsylvania Dutch country. They weave the sturdy cotton twill fabric themselves before stitching each pair together by hand. These humble tailors have no holiday celebration, no electricity, and no alcohol. They literally live for the opportunity to craft each and every pair of Henderson's holiday pants, and they don't care if it's Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, or that holiday around the God Baby with the decorated pine tree and the name that makes some people so very angry. Originally designed for Ebenezer Scrooge, Hermie the Elf, and the Grinch that stole Christmas. Henderson's holiday pants are available wherever there's a dude dressed like Santa outside, ringing a bell and begging for your spare change. Happy holidays from Henderson's, makers of fine trousers and pantaloons since 1 AD. And now back to Succotash.
Oh boy, all my favorite beverages are here. I got vodka and I got cognac and...
Listen, Kenny, I'm sorry. You can't play with us. We have to wait for Mark.
Mark, always mistreats me. He's not here, and I don't care. I want to play.
Look, you are the assistant engineer, and you have to understand that you only have to go get coffee and take orders, and you know, someday you'll be the full engineer, and then you can tell people what to do, and you can abuse them.
I don't want to do that. I want to abuse them now.
Hey.
Oh.
Hey.
What?
Hey, Kenny, what are you doing in here?
Nothing.
I didn't think Bill let you by the bar at all.
I know. He just said I could.
Oh, okay. Well,
is that all right?
It's okay with me. It's up to Bill. This is his segment. So if he wants to share airtime with Kenny.
Well, I don't really.
Kenny, get lost.
Okay.
Boozin' with Bill.
You'll be sorry someday.
Someday, Kenny. What is that guy's problem?
Well, I know. He tries. He's very happy in his own weird way.
We haven't paid him in 3 years. He just will not.
Well, he doesn't want to get out of showbiz.
That's
you know
what it
how
is.
that
Like, this is
works.
showbiz,
Well,
exactly,
It's
yes.
sort of showbiz. Hey, Mark, it's a good thing that you're working with an experienced drinker, because a less experienced drinker would not be able to record more than one episode at a time.
I know.
That is the God's truth.
I know.
Hey, you know, we
You're
got
kind of spoiling the mystery.
We got a new president.
What?
We got a new president.
What happened to Trump?
Well, no, that's what I mean.
Oh.
And you know what? He promised to drain the swamp.
Yes, he did.
He promised.
He said he was going to
drain
drain
You know that?
swamp.
And so in
Yes.
honor of that,
Yes.
we have a drink that's called the Swamp Draenor.
Oh, boy.
The Swamp
dear.
Draenor.
All right.
It's a great drink,
You know what? We've
man.
had a great run. And
listen.
We're going to get close to the...
I've got some
we're gonna get
stuff
to-
for you
clo-
here. This is
we're
going to
get
put
close
some
to
hair
the
on
bar-
your face.
What was the barbecue one?
Oh, barbecue punch?
Yeah, it's going
This will rival barbecue
Oh, dear.
punch, so this I can guarantee you.
Oh, man.
You know, we're going to start with a little bit of water in a glass right here, and you can
That's
see
easy.
that I've got a little bit of water in a glass right here.
Okay.
So then I've got organic wheatgrass. So we're gonna. What do you want to take a
Just
picture of
do the
that?
wheatgrass.
Okay, here's some organic
But we
wheatgrass.
would say if you've got fresh wheatgrass.
No,
juice,
not any organic wheatgrass. We're using Amazing Grass organic
Sponsor
wheatgrass.
of the show.
That's right. So we're going to put some
Thank you,
Amazing
Amazing
Grass
Wheatgrass.
wheatgrass
Thank you.
into a glass of water. Here we go. Look at that, huh? See, because it's kind of swampy.
We are the only podcast that Amazing
There we go.
Wheatgrass is
Yes,
sponsoring.
and they know us and they love us. So we're going to stir it up.
All right.
Oh, yes, it's kind of swampy and
It looks
evil
like something that would
looking.
come out of the bottom of like a lawnmower.
Exactly, yes, you know, kind of mulchy. So we're going to add that. And then, you know, because we're draining the swamp, but filling it up with the right kind of people.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to add 1 1/2 ounces of vodka. Cheap Russian vodka.
All right.
And I'm not talking about like that cheap imitation crap that killed 50 people in Irkutsk. You know what they did? Those people in Irkutsk are so thirsty, they drank bath lotion.
Oh, dear.
Because it has methanol in
Oh.
it. And the difference between methanol and ethanol,
Yes.
methanol will fucking kill you, man.
that's
So you
what-
don't want to drink no
No.
methanol. You got to get some cheap
So-
Russian vodka,
So is
vodka from Poland or
Is this
something
the stuff
like
that,
that.
putting it in drinks?
No, this is the good stuff. This is called Taka vodka. It's right there with like Ackroyd's Crystal Head vodka.
Nice.
So we're gonna. Whoa! Okay.
Bill's had a little.
Yeah, well, I know I
Here's your
haven't.
diaper.
Everything's just.
There's your diaper, Bill.
It's a bar rag, motherfucker. All right, we're gonna clean this up.
What are
There
the-
we go.
the
so
tapes on
then
the
we've
side?
got so we put the cheap Russian vodka in it, and then what else goes good with
Let
vodka?
me get out of your way.
Oh,
Going for the fridge.
You better.
Going for the fridge.
Yes. So in that, you got to put vodka and orange juice, but not just any orange
No, of
juice.
course not.
You got to use
It's
Tropicana orange juice. You know why?
Why?
You know why?
Oh, you
Because
put
it's the
Mar-a-Lago.
official orange juice of the employees' cafeteria at Mar-a-Lago. Thank
Exactly.
you.
Beautiful.
All right.
Sorry, I jumped on your joke.
It's all right. It's all right. You saw that coming a mile away, and
That's
you know I
okay.
love you. So we're going to put 1/3 of a cup
All right, pull the plug
of this.
out.
Oh, thanks. Pull it gently.
Just like Donald does.
Holy
Gently.
shit.
There you
gotta
go.
grab it by the cork. All right, so we're gonna put that third of
How much of that you put in there?
Third of a
Third
cup.
of a cup goes in with the vodka and the
and the
mulch.
wheatgrass juice, the mulch. Then, the thing about...
It's still green. It's still just dark
I know.
green.
The thing that we love about Donald Trump is he is a real doer. He is a goer and a doer.
Douche?
No.
Doer.
He's a goer and a doer.
doer.
That man has done more in the first 150 days of his presidency than anybody else, bar none. Bar fucking none. And for that get up and go, well, what you need is prune juice.
Oh, see, I thought you were going to put doers in there.
No.
Doer.
He is a doer and a goer.
A goer.
It's just more about goer than doer.
I understand.
So we're going to put prune juice in there. We're going to put
just any prune juice.
just any prune juice.
This is Sunsweet prune juice.
Hey.
Sponsor of the show.
Yes, right. So we're going to put some of that in there.
Nice.
That's good. Ooh. So we're going to put the prune juice in there.
Let me recount so far. We've got water. We've got
the wheatgrass juice.
We've got vodka.
And we've got vodka.
Orange
and we've got
juice.
Tropicana orange juice.
And we've got
Sunsweet prune juice. And then the piece of resistance, we've got to put some triple sec in there because triple sec is the only liqueur that has Donald Trump's face on it. It's an orange liqueur. Look at that right there. He's got his hair there. It's green, but it is his hair.
Yes.
And there's his head sitting in a little glass.
Nice.
So we need just a little bit of triple sec. We need, not quite 3/4 of an ounce. We're going to put like a little bit of it just to get some native flavoring in there.
All right.
A little triple sec, delicious orange liqueur. Now, just to recap.
Yes.
Water with the delicious wheatgrass juice from our friends at Amazing Grass.
Yes.
And then we put in the cheap Russian vodka.
Yes.
And which is under indictment or an investigation.
Under investigation.
And then we put the prune juice for the get up and go.
Yes.
And then
the orange juice. Don't forget the orange.
Oh, the Tropicana orange juice. So we're going to stir it up, as Bob Marley would say.
You know what? We didn't actually talk about our sponsor from the triple sec.
Oh,
that's
yes.
Kuipers.
Kuiper, De Kuiper.
De Kuiper.
De Kuiper. De Kruger, De Kuiper. Absolutely.
Sponsor of the show.
Oh, who gives a fuck? All right, so anyway, so this is
no ice?
Oh, you want ice?
I don't know. Do we need ice? It's fine with me if we don't have ice.
Well, then we won't have ice.
Yeah.
Maybe we drink it warm.
You know what I think that's
room temperature?
You know what that is?
What?
That is a nod to the fact that climate change does not exist.
That's exactly it. You read my mind.
Yes.
The fact that there's no ice, climate change does not exist. So I'm going to pour this in two different little... Well, we got to shake it up.
Yes. We stirred it up.
We stirred it.
You got to shake it, though, because you're a professional.
I am a professional. Look out for me. Oh, yes. Oh, shake it up.
Don't let the top on that one.
Shake it up, baby. Shake it up.
There he is, shaking his money maker.
Right on, baby. Okay. So, then we've got to pour it into your glass.
Okay.
We're going to drain the swamp. We're going to
I feel like
I
am. This looks like swamp water. That's what this looks like.
That's right, and we're going to drain it too.
All right, hold on.
We're going to try. I think I'm going to puke right in my glass. Oh yes. Oh,
this
God.
smells
Don't
like
make me
something
drink this, mommy, please.
Ooh. 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 Ooh.
Oh.
Ooh.
You know, they've said that government is very bad medicine. Government is bad. Come on, swallow it. You can only get better from here. Oh, yes. So we're going to overturn the ACA, and we're going to kick all the people, all the scientists out of the school.
Donald Trump probably holds Paul Ryan's nose and pours this down his gullet.
Oh, I'm sure he gives him an enema of this stuff. Oh, God, this is all... Don't make me drink anymore of this Swamp Draenor. See, politics is very, very difficult. That's what we learned from this. Politics is very, very difficult. No wonder
Donald Trump doesn't drink. Good Lord, this is a nightmare.
Oh, God, I can't take anymore.
Oh, America's nightmare is almost over.
Swamp Draenor. Well, you know, he might get another 4 years. I'm not sure.
Oh. Bill, you've done it again.
I'm not doing it anymore.
Oh, you've done it again, Bill.
Oh, God, please help.
Oh, there has to be something to get this taste out of my mouth.
Well, you know, here's the thing that we have. We have a Pence back.
I'm
We have
afraid
a
that's
Pence
what that
back.
is.
Well, it's water. It's tap water.
Oh.
From Flint, Michigan.
Oh, there's that Flint
Yeah,
joke.
but the thing about that is, you got to drink the Flint. This is pure, unadulterated Flint, Michigan tap water. And the thing is, you got to trust people. This is faith-based water, and it's right from the tap, and it's good for you. It's good for you. And the thing about it is, when you look at it, it's faith-based. If you really believe, then it's not going to hurt you.
All right.
So you need it.
Looks like it's filled with lead.
Go ahead, you need it, man. Oh, I feel like I'm glowing in the dark already. It's not bad.
No, it's better than what we were drinking.
It's something to rinse.
Oh.
It's a palate cleanser and a moose bouche.
So that's the Mike Pence back.
The Mike Pence back
for the.
It's okay. We're going to recap.
Yes, recap.
It's a Mike Pence back for the Swamp Draenor.
Swamp Draenor.
And the Mike Pence back is a water, plain tap water from our good friends at Flint, Michigan. And yes, of course, it's going to be discolored and foul smelling, but it's faith-based.
It's faith-based.
You can drink anything you want if you believe.
I believe.
You believe. Put your hand on the glass
I
and they're going to
believe.
baptize you with the water of Flint, Michigan.
Oh, God.
You going to be all right?
I think so. That is another episode
of
Boozin' with Bill.
You can find the recipe for the Swamp Draenor up on our SuccotashShow.com home site, but why? I love being in the bar with Bill, mixing up those drinks. That guy's crazy. All right, there is a soundcast for specific movie genres, like monster movies, say, but there are shows that get into subgenres too, such as the Universal Monsters cast. First of all, I like that they just call it a cast instead of using the P word. Our associate producer really likes this show, says the hosts Gilman Joel, Dr. Shock, and Wolfman Josh really stay on track with the discussion, which in this case is all about the mummy. In this clip, it's about how Hammer Films treated the character, which had come from the Universal Corral of Monsters.
How about this, guys? I think we've tapped into our nostalgia. We know that Hammer has had a profound impact on the horror genre, even if people don't realize it and they've never seen one. So at this point in the show, Dave will bring you his feature review of The Mummy from 1959.
Egypt, 4,000 years ago. A land of strange rituals and savage cruelty. Many of their secrets are still hidden from the eyes of 20th century man. Secrets that protect their dead. Supernatural powers that once released can live again in our modern world. The Mummy, the living dead, bringing terror and death across 4,000 years.
All right, The Mummy from 1959, and this has, I want to say, Hammer royalty behind it. It was directed by Terence Fisher, who had done the Frankenstein and the Dracula movie. Also written by Jimmy Sangster, who had written the screenplays for those movies as well, and starring Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. And what it is we have set in, I believe it starts in 1895. You have some Egyptologists about to discover a tomb, the tomb of Ananka, princess who had mysteriously, I guess she was on a pilgrimage or something thousands of years earlier, and she died, and she was buried in this remote location. And you have, it's Stephen Banning, I guess. I don't know if it's his brother Joe or I don't know, he's related somehow. But Stephen Banning, who's John Banning's father, John Banning, of course, played by Peter Cushing, John Banning's laid up with a bad leg. So Stephen Banning and Uncle Joe are the first to go into the tomb when it's discovered. But before they do, Mehmet Bey is the character's name, played by George Pastel, comes up and warns them, you can't go in there. You don't know what you're messing with. There's a curse. Stephen Banning's like, yeah, okay, whatever. So they go into this tomb. It is what they were looking for. They're amazed. Uncle Joe runs back to tell John, like I said, he can't really move. His leg is bandaged. And while they're out there talking, they hear a scream come from the tomb. And when he runs in, there's Stephen Banning, the father, laid on the tomb. In his mind, he's completely gone. He's just completely gone insane. We jump several months later. He's back in a hospital in England. They think he might have had a stroke that just messed his mind up. He's not responding. He's not doing anything. And this is now John with his limp and Uncle Joe are wrapping up the things in Egypt. They felt like, we're kind of glad this is done because there was something a little strange about this tomb. Then anyway, it goes back to England, and we follow John Banning, and we follow as he's with his father. His father regains consciousness and warns him about the mummy, he says. And John's like, what are you talking about? He figures he's just sort of rambling. But as it turns out, he had read from the Scroll of Life, Stephen Banning, while he was alone in this tomb, and he did bring a little something to life. And it is now the duty of Mehmet Bey and this mummy to seek their revenge against those who have desecrated the tomb of Ananka. And we'll leave it there. I'll tell you what, I really loved the way this movie opened. I liked that whole opening in Egypt, even with the little dynamic with the characters. You have Peter Cushing, his leg is bandaged up, and this Uncle Joe character's like, he's got to get to a doctor. His leg will not heal properly if you do not, he's talking to, the father now. If you don't tell him to get to the doctor, it's not going to heal properly. And the father's like, oh, no, that's John's decision to make. Knowing full well that John, yeah, exactly. Knowing full well that John will not leave this spot because now the father doesn't want to leave this spot. So he figures, okay, well, no, that's John's decision. I can't tell him what to do. I'll abide by what he's going to say. But you can see that the two of them are just so into finding this. And you get the feeling that Uncle Joe's the only one who sort of stepped back and is saying, look, you got to get this leg treated. And sure enough, he ends up with a limp through the movie because his leg never healed properly. And I also like the music. There was a great musical cue when they first walk into the tomb.
Gotta love it. That Epi is about 25 minutes long, which is how long it takes on average to talk about a minute of movie magic on the Star Wars Minute. Their home site is the title plus .com, or hop over to succotashshow.com and click on their title of the show in our blog. And of course, they're spattered all over the web wherever soundcasts live. So that's some of the clippage you would have heard if I'd been able to swing the gig with the Monster Party guys. All we missed were 4 of their voices and a lot of booze. Shoot, maybe I should just have gotten hammered before I recorded this show. Tweety! Man, it's already tweet sack time? It's been a couple of weeks. Surely there's some kind of tweetage in there. Let me ramble around. Oh, yes. Got a DM on Twitter from the producer of one of my favorite new soundcasts. Dexter Guff is smarter than you, and you can too. Been working on setting up a chat with Peter Oldring, who embodies Dex Guff on that show, and it looks like it's going to happen soon, which I'm very excited about. Hal Lublin, co-host of We Got This with Mark Gagliardi, DM'd me back to say it looks like we'll be able to link up schedules at the SF Sketchfest next month and get those boys back in front of the Succotash mics. I missed doing that last year, which is the first time in 4 years we didn't get to talk to Hal, but we'll make up for lost time. I got an email from Caleb Gates, who's looking for a podcaster to fill a position at a new startup called Alpha Voice. The note reads, quote, "We are looking to hire a podcaster for an awesome new startup. Do you recommend anyone? Feel free to email me back or forward this to someone you know. Here is a position description," unquote. And then there's a link to their website, which I will pass along to you in a moment. It goes on, thank you in advance, Caleb Gates. Caleb Gates. Caleb? Probably Caleb. Alpha Voice seems to be a new app for finding specific moments in podcasts. I was going to forward the actual email to a few guys I know, but then I figured enough soundcasters listen to this show that it would be more effective just to let you know this way via the tweet sack. There's a video on YouTube that explains Alpha Voice, so I downloaded the audio from that, and it goes exactly like this.
I'm Caleb, a co-founder of Alpha Voice, and I'm here at San Francisco's famous Noisebridge Hackerspace. I love podcasts, like the oh-so-popular stories from Radio Labs. One of my favorite episodes is the one about baboons eating trash. I also like the stories about driverless cars. The problem is, it takes me 20 minutes to find a favorite moment and share it, so we built this. Alexa, start Radio Lab.
Hi, this is Radio Lab. Ask me anything. What would you like to talk about?
Baboons trash.
We found new baboon by Radiolab.
Hey, this is Jad. Radiolab is supported by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Home plays a big role in your
Alexa,
life. That is what...
Stop.
Thanks for supporting Radiolab.
Alexa, ask Radiolab about cars.
Found a bunch of episodes that match cars. First we have Paparazzi, second we have Driverless Dilemma, third we have Where the Sun Don't Shine. Which would you like to play?
The second.
Great. Starting Driverless Dilemma by Radiolab.
Hi, this is Audrey calling from Menton, France. Radiolab is supported by UC Davis, a globally ranked university solving problems
Alexa,
in food, energy...
Stop.
Thanks for supporting Radiolab.
But it's so much more. What we've built is a WordPress for voice. Any content creator that wants to test, explore, or distribute on voice assistants can instantly get on board. Our system consumes your content and generates an interactive experience that your listeners can find on major platforms like Facebook Messenger and Amazon Alexa. New platforms like Google Home, Microsoft Cortana, and Apple's HomePod are just around the corner.
So, if you're a soundcaster and want to look further into a gig with audio voice, here's the URL to sign up, or at least to find out what it's all about. alphavoice.io/jobs.html. I just rewind it if you didn't get it. I'm not going to repeat it. Good luck. Kylie LaBelle, wife of Danny LaBelle and producer of his Modern Day Philosophers Soundcast, wrote to me to say, "Hi, Mark. Hope all is well. Danny wanted me to pass along his latest episode coming out with Jamie Kilstein. I'm not sure if you're aware, but Jamie is just coming back into the spotlight after being accused of sexual harassment. Yeah, I heard some about that. Modern Day Philosophers is one of the first shows he's done. Please let me know if you'd like to review it. Thanks so much and all the best, Kylie." Well, I will have to give that Epi a listen and see. I may review it. Maybe I'll clip it. I don't know. But Kylie LaBelle is very good about reaching out to this show. So I appreciate that. Wow. Look at all that stuff from the tweet sack. I love it. I don't think we've seen that much stuff. If you want your stuff in my sack, drop me a note at mark@succotashshow.com. And now it's the time to take a ride on the Cavalcade of Gratitude, which is where I get to thank all those folks who've taken the time to tweet, retweet, follow, like, heart, thumbs up, poke, or otherwise mention Succotash in their social media streams. Quick question, film threat, changes in latitude, Blake Monas, Carrie Snow, Out of the Fridge, Travis Clark, SF Sketchfest, Ed Wallach, Sup Doc, Salty Language, Podcast Booster Bot, Gratuitous Phil, The All-Seeing Guys, Tom Jackson Jr., Fickle Fanboy, 7 Days a Geek, Joey Clift, Pretty Gross, Jordan Brady, Krampus Ban, Carjo Me Z, I don't know what that means, Jonathan Sadowski, A.R. Rathor, Jamie Raynaud, Lunchtime Podcast, West Side Comedy, Samok Ka Ayo Mix, don't know what that means either, Ned Kenny, Phil Ernest, and Illusionoid. To you all, and the folks who slipped through the cracks, thanks so much for giving Succotash the old social media shout-out. I have a question for you, and please, answer honestly. Have you been up to the podcast section of iTunes? That's what they call Soundcast, by the way, is podcast. Have you been up there to rate and review the Succotash show? Of course you haven't. I don't blame you. No, wait. Yes, I do. I blame you. But you can correct that easily enough by jumping up there right now to give us 5 stars and a short, pithy review. It really helps to get the word out because our listing pops up higher in the pages and pages and pages and pages of Soundcasts so somebody can finally find us. And we have come to the end of Epi161 of Succotash, the Comedy Soundcast Soundcast. If you're in the San Francisco area during January, don't forget about our dates at SF Sketchfest. You can also grab free tickets for the Sunday, January 14th show at 5:30 p.m. by going to sfsketchfest.com or our succotashshow.com home site. Click on the link. Hope to see you around. And as always, thanks for passing the Succotash. Goodbye.
You've been listening to Succotash Clips, the Comedy Soundcast Soundcast, with your host, Marc Hershon. brought to you by Henderson's Pants and... Imagine your company's name right here. Find us on the web at succotashshow.com, on iTunes, on Stitcher Smart Radio, on SoundCloud, and on the Laughable app. You can also hear us streaming and like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Succotash Show. Email us at marc@succotashshow.com. Or call into the Succotash hotline at our non-toll-free call number, 818-921-7212. That number again is 818-921-7212. You can also upload clips from your favorite comedy soundcasts directly to us using our direct upload link at hightail.com/u/Succotash. Succotash is produced and engineered with the kind assistance of Joe Paulino through the auspices of Studio P Sausalito, home of the hit. Our associate producer is Tyson Sainer. Our musical director is Scott Covey. Our booth assistant is Kenny Durges. Until next time, I am your loyal booth announcer, Bill Heywatt, reminding you to please pass the Succotash. Goodbye.